Welcome back to Brian Knows Movies. I'm so excited to get into Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I do have a review out as a short, but I wanted to make a video specifically talking about a lot of the things regarding Black Panther Wakanda Forever that aren't being talked about, not nearly enough in my opinion. So this is going to be a pretty spoiler heavy conversation. I am going to talk about who is the new Black Panther. I'm going to reveal some things that are pretty crucial to the plot, just because it's going to help me to explain why I think these things need to be getting more attention. So starting with number one, and that is Letitia Wright. Letitia Wright is carrying this movie. She acts it very well. I think that she's well directed, and her arc from being somebody who's in shambles because of the grief of losing her brother and her best friend, the way that she did, she wasn't able to save him. She wasn't able to recreate the heart-shaped herb that could have healed his illness, and her brother passes away. She is completely distraught, but she's trying to hold it together. She wants to be the hero. She wants to be the person that her brother would want her to be, but she is struggling. And when her mother, Queen Ramona, dies in battle when the Tulicans invade Wakanda, it completely breaks her. She no longer is in a space to where she's able to move in a heroic way. She wants vengeance. She wants blood. She wants to make the Tulokans pay for what they did to her. And I thought that was such an interesting character arc, because you assume with superhero films, you're not going to enter this morally gray area the way that you do with Letitia Wright. But she does it well. There's no wisecracking jokes from her. She's not trying to be the center of attention, but she has to lead. And when it's time for her to lead, when she becomes the Black Panther, she does it for selfish purposes. She's not doing it for Wakanda. She's doing it because she wants vengeance for her mother. And you get to see her wrestle with this, even as those around her are trying to kind of talk some sense and hint like, hey, maybe you should be trying to go another way. Of course, Queen Ramonda, played by Angela Bassett, is a great character. I think Angela Bassett is going to get a nomination for this. There's going to be a big campaign for her, and she deserves it. I hope she wins, but let's not let Letitia Wright's performance become overcrowded by Angela Bassett love. I love her too, but we need to talk about Letitia Wright just as much. Number two is another actor, and that's Winston Duke. We got to get Winston Duke into more of these films. He's so likable. He steals every scene. They've completely changed his character from the comics. M'Baku in the comics and the Jabari tribe are very evil. They're supervillains. M'Baku is a racist kind of character called the Great Ape, and basically he's a big dude in an ape costume that has superhuman strength. In this movie, he goes even past some of the things that he was doing in the first film, and he has his comedic moments, but he's also stepped into that role of big brother for Shuri after T'Challa passes away. He's giving wise counsel at the elders meeting. He's doing things that you would think of an ambassador, somebody who actually is a king, would do. And I have questions about where he moves forward. It seems like he's going to be the king of Wakanda, that Letitia Wright's character Shuri does not want it. In fact, she doesn't even show up to the ceremony and sends M'Baku in her place, who challenges to be king. There's no challengers there, so I'm pretty sure he receives the kingdom of Wakanda in that instance. So does that mean that Shuri's going to be the Black Panther while M'Baku is the king of Wakanda? How does that work in terms of the traditions of the whole place? It seems like the tradition is that the king or the queen has to be the Black Panther. But, it's funny if that's the direction that they go, because M'Baku actually chides Shuri in the first film about mocking tradition. It seems like they're going against tradition quite a bit here. The third thing I think that needs to be talked about a lot more is the layers in the story in terms of morality. A lot of people have been talking about, and rightfully so, all of the tributes to Chadwick Boseman. They've been done beautiful, and at the center of this film is grief and pain and how to work through those types of things, and what type of steps can be helpful, what type of steps can be hurtful in that process. And that is the center. But let's not forget that there is a morality play here as well. Specifically with Namor and the Tulokans, you initially think that he's evil, and he's definitely the antagonist here, but he is wanting to kill Riri Williams because she possesses information that could ruin his kingdom, could expose the Tulokans to the known world. It definitely is immoral, but it makes you think about all the different times countries such as the United States and all around the world make these decisions all the time and able to protect their interests of their nation. They even talk about it in the movie how in Wakanda, just a couple generations ago, when T'Challa's father was in charge, or even before that, how he probably would have killed Riri Williams too to protect the knowledge of vibranium within the kingdom of Wakanda. So it's not like what Namor is trying to do is so different from what has happened in Wakanda in the past or what other nations would do within this world. So I think that's interesting that we are placing Namor at this place where he's the king. He's trying to protect him the best way that he knows how, and we are immediately trying to make him seem like what he's doing has not been done before. Yes, it's immoral, but it makes you question, if that's immoral, why do we give passes to when other countries do it or when we do it? These immoral acts that supposedly protect us and protect our self-interest. Hey, if this list has resonated with you, please hit that like button and remember to share after the video is over. My number 4 point is the anti-war messaging. I thought that was also very strong in this film, specifically in the final battle between the Wakanda and the Talokans on that huge ship. They're going at it, and you hear this majestic music playing that you would hear in most superhero films, but you feel the whole time the battle was going on, both between Namor and Black Panther, as well as the Talokans and the Wakandans, that all this stuff seems pretty silly. Like, why are you guys fighting? There should be a way to solve this peacefully and diplomatically, but you give an inch, you give a mile. There's this pride that's involved in this battle that is sad. There's a sadness with it. The way I felt watching that scene was similar to how I would feel watching other war movies like a 1917 or a Saving Private Ryan or even All Quiet on the Western Front that just came out on Netflix. Not to that degree, obviously, because I know that this lives in fantasy, whereas those are historical epics, but you still feel this sadness of why are these people killing themselves and murdering each other for causes that are sometimes unknown. Saving Private Ryan, obviously, that was a war that probably had the biggest moral stakes at play, but some of these other things, we could have found diplomatic relations to be able to solve that. And that's the way I felt about the Wakandans and the Talokans. And eventually they finally get there. Shuri realizes this as well, which I'm happy she did. But man, what a sad scene. There's been a lot of criticism about Namor and the retelling or the reimagining of his backstory. I just want to say that I loved it. I thought that it had to happen because Aquaman in the DC universe is already well established. He's been in multiple films. He's very likable. He's one of the most likable things about the DCEU. To have a character who has a similar backstory, we're talking about a king of Atlantis on this throne, a person who was kind of gruff and tough, it would have seemed too close to what we've seen already. So reimagining this character and giving him this cultural background of Mesoamerica and Mayan culture and talking about how colonization affected peoples within that realm, and also all these cultural references in terms of the style of the costumes and the headdresses and all those things. I thought it was beautiful and well done. For those who don't like it, I don't know. I mean, there's so many things in this film that was reimagined from the comics. I don't know why this would be the one that tips people over the edge. Maybe because Namor is a much more popular character than some of the other changes that they've made. But I'm telling you, I've read comics all my life. Please believe me, it's not that big a deal. My number 6 thing that I don't think is being talked about enough is the insular storytelling that's happening here. For this to end Phase 4 and not really have much interaction with the rest of the MCU is very interesting to me. It's an insular story that's really about Wakanda and the Talokans. It's not about the multiverse. It's not about all these other things that are going on. Sure, Dave Fontaine, played by Louis Dreyfus, she has a small part in this, but for the most part, we're not really dealing with the world at large. We're not dealing with large stakes. We're dealing with the most powerful nation on earth trying to find itself after losing its king. I do have questions about how Wakanda will play into things like Secret Wars. Shuri is probably the smartest person on the planet right now, if not top three. You would think that with the resources that Wakanda has and Shuri's knowledge, that they would be on the forefront of trying to figure out how to solve this multiversal issue that's going to happen over the next two phases. But from the beginning to the end of this film, it seems like Wakanda is just trying to protect its resources from hungry colonizers, if I can say that, that are trying to get their vibranium. When you go to the UN and you have France and the US not happy enough that Wakanda is willing to save its knowledge, share its knowledge with others, they want those resources and Wakanda has to protect them. And that's pretty much where it ends. You know, one thing I was thinking about, what happened to the Talokans when the snap happened and half their population was gone off the face of the earth? Why didn't they reveal themselves then? Why did they not have questions? And then I came to the conclusion, I'm actually glad that they didn't do that. I'm glad that that part of the story was unnecessary and would have been extra noise that would distract us from the hearts of the film about protecting the ones you love and dealing with the loss of those who are gone. Number 7, we have to talk about the special effects and the technical details of this film. Outside of Top Gun Maverick, and I'm sure that Avatar: The Way of Water is going to be in this category as well, I don't think that there was a better use of special effects that I've seen all year than Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Kudos to what they were able to do. Specifically, the underwater scenes were pretty amazing. I think that all the battles, both in Wakanda and on the ship, look incredible. The car chase scene, you know Ryan Coogler loves those from the first Black Panther film. All those things, technical aspects, look amazing. I also wonder if Ruth Carter is going to get her second Oscar for costume design for this. It looks better than the first film in terms of the costumes, both for the Wakandans and also what they were able to do for the Talokans as well. I'm interested to see how that plays out. Even Okoye's new suit and the Ironheart suit and all those things look amazing. I think that has to go to costume design and special effects. Anyway, that's all I can think of about this film that is not being talked about nearly enough. Thank you for sticking with me, and if you have other items you want to talk about, please add them to the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you at the theaters next week.